everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com. You can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started this week by saying hello to Ruben. You okay?
I can't. Not like this.
It's a not like this moment. There appeared to be some technical difficulties with recording the pre-show. Those responsible will be sacked, and we're sorry. Hi, Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
God, both of you.
You got that good hair though.
Thank you. I literally just came from the spa because I have to get ready for Command Fest this weekend, and so I got to make sure my knurls were good. I had to make sure the hair was good because
my knurls and my curls.
Knurls and my curls. There are no curls here, honey. This is
right.
flat,
There are also no knurls. I was trying to rhyme.
Excuse
and be
me.
cute.
These are shiny and buff. Okay, clear goes with everything. Okay.
Goodness gracious.
I'm not like these other bitches that are like cutting Christmas turkeys with their fingernails. Like
cutting Christmas
I ain't starting
turkeys.
oranges.
Serrated edges. That's right.
I'm just saying.
We
Got
also
more serrated than a Homelands expansion.
Jesus Christ, we got started with our trumpet blast, which you can get one if you support us at our highest level on Patreon. A special note from last week. We did make the entire joke about Wizards of the Coast responding to a thing, but that was actually a misunderstanding. Wizards of the Coast did not put like ages 13 and plus in response to what can you say in the bedroom and whatever.
Turns out that one's Twitter's bad.
That was Twitter's bad.
Those responsible have been sacked. However, every social media branch of every major corporation was thirsty on Maine in that thread, though, was the thing. So
also shout out to superfan Robert, who tried to find me apparently 3 times at Gen Con and a few times, or at least one time at PAX Unplugged. So Robert, we apologize for missing you, buddy. Or at least
were you at PAX Unplugged?
I was not, but he came looking. He came looking at PAX Unplugged. He came looking at Gen Con, and clearly I didn't catch him.
To be fair, we couldn't even find you at Gen Con most years because you were everywhere.
You know, I do a thing.
Yeah.
All right, we kick it off with our first pick in our giveaway. A $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com could be yours right now! Exclamation mark raffle in the chat, and if you're
exclamation mark raffle.
Oh yeah! And if you are a subscriber to the channel, you get 2 entries, not just 1.
But you don't get the pre-show because Evan screwed up the sound.
Oh my god! You know,
we might have the sound. Hold out hope.
We're gonna first of all hold out hope, because hope, springs eternal. And secondly, we are going to be very, very fastidious in the future about recording audio on Audacity the moment we start the pre-show, so this never happens again. All right, which we just started doing recently, by the way, so that's fun. All right, first pick here. Mythic Championship happened. Congratulations to Piotr Glogoski.
That's right. Canister.
Is that right? Canister MTG on
Piotr Glogowski.
Piotr. No, don't roll it. Don't roll it. Piotr.
You're not Cardi B. What are you doing?
Piotr. No, Piotr. He's been streaming forever. It's Canister. This is the guy that we have to blame for Neoform.
And Lantern, he played Lantern Control back in the day. He was one of the earliest proponents of...
This is the guy that Aaron's always like, this guy on his BS with his turn 1 combo. I want to win with my turn 2 combo. And he's out here with Allosaurus Riders.
He has a penchant for playing really painful prison decks. So I'm always just like, you're a sweet guy, but like, why are you like this?
Yeah.
As it turns out, the viewership stats looked pretty good. 106,000 people were watching at peak viewership.
Yeah, several people had a really good weekend. Ali Warfield was sending MPL members home left and right. Canister had a very good weekend. Brad Nelson, PV, another top 8 for him. This Chris Kvartek, which we'll talk about a little later. Coverage was on point as usual. It was a good weekend.
Yeah, Chris Kvartek in particular had posted essentially about his thoughts on qualifying for the MPL and Worlds, how he was in a very bad spot, and how he didn't like what he was doing at the time or his relationship status. And later, essentially kind of to just kind of relax, go with the flow, try to learn and have fun and continue learning and do things in a different way. And seemed to do very well with him.
He really came out of nowhere. Like, I'd never heard of him until like 6 months ago, maybe.
Right.
And everyone just seems to have really fallen in love with him. He's just a really good guy. There's no, no issues there. Very good player. Even someone like, I tend to look at Randy Bueller as my thermometer. And if you can impress Randy, that's saying something, because Randy's seen it all. He's been there, he's done it. And him watching Chris Kvartek, he was particularly impressed. And so that made me feel like this is somebody that I need to be watching.
Very nice. Yeah. So super sweet, and just a sort of emotional, a inspirational type of post of just like, he made a pivotal decision to stop worrying about the match results and just focus on having fun.
And shout out to supportive partners. Like, he talks about like coming home and like, he didn't do well at a GP and his girlfriend was like, you got this, baby. Like, you're going to do it. Like, that's what you should be doing. Like, good on her.
Quick shout out to Javier Dominguez for absolutely crushing.
Jeez. I haven't seen a dominant performance in terms of points like this, I think, ever. I think
loved watching him get paired up against Beatrice. That was great. And then, like, didn't she beat him and like he didn't hug her, or did he beat her? And it was great.
I don't know that one. But
all I'm saying is he has more than 200 Mythic points. That's as many as winning 4 Mythic championships.
He's unreal.
Our world champion is indeed very good at Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Holy cow, that is insane. Yeah. There were some partial season invites for the Pro League and partial season invites for the Rivals League, and it's difficult for me to explain in a sort of elevator pitch exactly what that means, other than the MPL people are getting paid a lot and the Rivals are getting paid not as much.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, so if I understand the system correctly, those that don't do well enough to sustain their spot in the MPL get bumped down to the Rivals.
Correct.
And that's meant to create some sort of tension there in terms of them clawing their way back into that position. On top of that, you also have new people that were introduced to those groups as well that are going to be looking to maintain that status as well, and also have to deal with those really hungry people that might have fallen off the wagon too.
So it works a lot like English Premier League or Italian or any really European league soccer league. You have the top flight league, you have a second division, and you have a third division, although in this we're just going to go with the top 2. You have the 20 teams in the English Premier League, and then you have the relegation zone. The bottom 3 teams go to the first division of the champions of the English First Division, and then the top 3 teams of the English First Division swap places with them. And then the bottom 3 teams get relegated to the second division, and so on and so forth. So the Rivals League is that intermediary league where the bottom of the upper echelon and the top of everyone else will battle it out in the Rivals League. Now, you're going to have a tough time telling me that the 8 people who are in the Rivals League are somehow less than the people who are in that upper league, because you read off that the 8 people in the Rivals League, and it's a murderer's row that insane. I would take against any 8-person lineup ever.
Yeah. And all they need is a good season. Any one of these people can come back in the game. And I think if this is done well, this has the potential to create some really great tension and some great storylines. And so I hope that they capitalize on it.
And it keeps the season exciting. One of the big problems with the initial league was we didn't know what we were playing for. There were no stakes. We didn't know what was going on. This, at least we know what the bottom is for, and we know what the top is for.
Well, do you know, so it's the 28 people. It's not just 8 people.
Sorry, 28 people.
Right. And this January, 4 additional discretionary invites are going to be announced for the Rivals League, making it 32 competitors for the first class.
Can we talk about that announcement and how they biffed it up? So when the announcement was first made, they had a graphic that they posted on screen, and the first name on the list was Brian Brown Dewin, but they spelled his name wrong, and it was like Brian
with some
Brown
extra letters.
Yeah. It was the funniest thing
It was like Dewin FP or something, and they were just like, wow, came out of nowhere.
And like, he was such a good sport about it on Twitter, as he's, wont to do, but it was just so funny and so typical Wizards of like, here's this big reveal. These are people that are like the cream of the crop. And it wasn't even like a Japanese name. It wasn't like a Spanish name. How do you screw that up?
Yeah.
It is a thing. Moving on.
It's like when you can say Guillaume Matignon, but you can't say like, I don't know, some comp. What was
Brian
that?
Brown doing Piotr Glukowski.
Piotr. Yes.
It would be like if you were like doing Javier Dominguez.
Javier.
Yeah. It's like
you had jalapenos.
Right. Yep. You had to try to screw it up.
Yeah.
Brian down Dwifton. There we go.
Dwifton. There we go.
We have brand new previews from Theros Beyond Death. They showed us the 2 Planeswalkers and the buy box promo. On your screen right now is Ashiok Nightmare Muse. This is a black, a blue, and 3 generic mana for a 5 loyalty mythic legendary planeswalker that has a +1 to create a 2/3 blue and black nightmare creature token with whenever this creature attacks or blocks, each opponent exiles the top 2 cards of their library. -3: return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, then that player exiles a card from their hand. Or -7, you may cast up to 3 face-up cards your opponents own from exile without paying their mana costs.
Yo.
This is tasty.
Yeah, this card is amazingly good.
People don't even know, man.
No, this is its own archetype good. Like, this is Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, 5-drop planeswalker good, in my opinion.
It's going to be very good. I don't know how good it's going to be.
That's always been Ashiok's thing. Like, Ashiok has never been like an obviously good planeswalker. Like, even when it was in standard, it didn't really see play, I think, until like the last season. Like, it didn't see like serious play. And even then, people used it against, like, do you remember when it was good against like the green-red decks? Because they had no way to deal with it. And so you would just whittle their deck away and then you would cast their big creatures. And so, like, it's always been sort of a niche planeswalker, even the new version. So it's never been a card that like you just want to jam Forza, but in the right deck, it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, there was a pro who played Ashiok from like the day it was printed in standard
Shaheen,
to like,
maybe?
Oh, well, Gerard
Fabiano, that's
yeah.
it. I was just like, oh, it starts with the G. Gerard, yes, Gerard Fabiano loved Ashiok. He played the crap out of that card. It was awesome. So that's Ashiok, who's great. Let's take a look at the buy box promo, which is Athreos coming back. Athreos Shroud Veiled. A black, a white, and 4 generic mana for a 4/7 mythic legendary enchantment creature god that has indestructible. And as long as your devotion to white and black is less than 7, Athreos isn't a creature.
So devotion's back.
That's right. At the beginning of your end step, put a coin counter on another target creature. Whenever a creature with a coin counter on it dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control.
Nice.
This is like a debtor's knell almost. I mean, this is really, really good. And the thermometer for how good a god is it good even when it's not a creature? Like, are you fine with this just as it is? And I think most people would agree they would be. And so I'm really excited about this. I'm really happy to see Devotion come back. I'm really happy to see this style of god come back. I'm really excited for this stuff.
The legendary creature enchantment frame is really nice. I really like the edging around the beveling, I guess is what you'd call that, around the upper part of Athreos. And this is the buy a box promo, right?
That's correct.
So we're not anticipating that this is going to be a Nexus of Fate or Corvold, right? Those are the two that have seen play in standard the most.
Well, Corvold was a Brawl commander.
Oh, it was a Brawl commander as opposed to the buy a box.
Right. You know, but maybe, first of all, I'm both like, there's both a flavor fail that it doesn't have Shroud because it's Shroud Veiled, but I'm also very glad it doesn't have Shroud. This card seems completely insane if I couldn't target with something.
It's already good. Like 6 mana 4/7. I'd be excited to play this as my commander. Coin counters are perfect for Athreos. Yeah, this card seems like a home run.
Yeah, totally sweet. And so the card seems super cool. Standard, I don't know, maybe there's some weird Esper thing that shows up with the new Ashiok, you know.
This seems like Debtor's Knell. This seems like a good end game way to try to finish off a game.
Now, a couple weeks ago, in a very magical Walgreens in North Carolina, a booster pack or two showed up, quote unquote, showed up in the Walgreens. That was never substantiated. But it did show us a card that did turn out to be quite real, and that is Elspeth, Sun's Nemesis.
Right.
For 2 white and 2 generic mana, you have a 5 loyalty mythic planeswalker that has a -1: up to 2 target creatures you control each get +2/+1 until end of turn, -2: create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens, or -3: you gain 5 life. And it also has Escape, one of the new mechanics of the set. Escape is 2 white and 4 generic mana. So 6 mana, exile 4 other cards from your graveyard, and you may cast this card from your graveyard for its escape cost.
Run to me and escape. I love this.
This
Interesting to
card's
note, these are all minuses. So
Yes.
it's kind of like Kaya in a way, in that you have to eventually blink Kaya to like rejuve her.
Right.
And kind of the same thing with Elspeth. She's meant to die.
Yeah.
And I don't believe it exiles the card itself. So you could essentially just
Correct.
keep looping Elspeth if you wanted to, right? Like that's amazing.
Exile for
This-
other cards.
Yeah.
This card is unbelievable. This card is unbelievably sweet because it's hard to like get your head wrapped around. Like games of Magic don't end on turn 5 or turn 6 unless you're a Magical Christmas Land. Games can go on for a while, and Elspeth is going to win every time. If you get a game super late, she's going to gain life to get back in it. She's going to gain creatures back in it. She's going to be pumping those creatures to try to end the game. If you're playing multiple copies of Elspeth, like I'll rebuy this copy of Elspeth, use her, play another one, use her as well. Like pump your team +4/+2 with both of those activations. Like there's a lot to do with a card. They basically gave her Delve. They gave like sort of this weird Delve thing, and Delve is
Elspeth,
busted.
yeah.
Delve is not a like fair mechanic. Being able to replay something over and over is not a necessarily fair thing to do in Magic. This card having 4 loyalty and starting out on what? On 5?
Starts at 5 loyalty.
And only has minuses, which is really interesting.
Right.
And I really like that a lot.
I already said.
I know, which is really cool, but like it's a different type of design for a planeswalker, which is neat. And I just think this card is absolutely terrific. And
I mean, I'm here for any sort of graveyard mechanics. So just give us good escape cards. That's what I want.
Right.
and it's not Delve in that Pharmacist Judge. You are correct. It's not powering her out early, but it's
Yes.
Delve in the form of it's another sort of way to pay for her,
To
which
use
is
those resources.
I've got to take out these resources to put her in there. These are resources that you get just for playing Magic. You don't have to like mill yourself
Your fatal
purposefully.
passages.
Right, you're just doing stuff and playing. This is the same argument that people had against Tarmogoyf, right? You have to play cycling cards and you have to do things to get stuff in your graveyard to make Tarmogoyf good. No, you don't.
Right.
You just play Magic. You know what's going to make Elspeth great? Playing Magic, and you're going to get stuff in your graveyard, and you're going to play her again.
Yep.
Whoa, that card is sweet. So those are our previews so far for Theros.
We also have a preview, I believe.
We have a preview card coming, and it will be on our show on New Year's Day.
Woo!
Hey.
Special New Year's Day show.
Yeah, that's right. January 1st, 2020. And you'll want to have your eyes peeled on this here channel. I think we have the only preview card that day, which would be nice.
There were also at all?
I was going to say there were also 5 other previews.
I'm getting there. Give me just a second. I'll bring them up on the screen. There were 5
Pretty
additional.
polarizing.
Really? A little bit.
A lot of people
bit.
compared them to Pokemon Energy.
Right.
And thought they were just a little too pretty, too visual. Not enough.
Yeah, and there was a point like the professor made about this being like Skyland. It's not land, it's just sky.
I love these. I wish I played basic lands so I could enjoy them.
Right.
So here is a look on the
Commander.
screen right now. I think these things are freaking gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Yes.
I think as the bundle has previously included 20 foil lands, and I think they're going to be in way higher demand than they were for Eldraine. These things are sweet. Again, they're on the screen now. If you can't see them or you're listening to us on the podcast, they are giant mana symbols. These are Nyx lands, so it's all spacey, starry, super cool mana symbols floating into the mist or whatever.
I love it. I love these so much. Ever since the first time I saw full art lands, I wanted full text lands. And we have full text lands, essentially. This is as close as we're ever going to get to those. So I'm very pleased.
Very nice. But yeah, I agree. They look a lot like Pokemon Energy. It's inevitable at some point, a game does A and a game does B with their symbols, and it's kind of going to mesh together in some fashion. But I think they're great, and I can't wait to get some
They look
myself.
so good. Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on here. Let's take a look at the World Championship Roundup. Now, there was a weird article posted today that I legitimately linked, and honestly, I kind of wish I hadn't in retrospect. But first thing this morning, I'm cleaning out, the gunk from the eyes, and I was like, what? They're removing paper from Worlds? What? There's this article on Dot esports. Sorry,
Guillaume Matignon.
Guillaume and Dot. Well, I wanted to say Dota, but it's Dot esports. I linked it in the chat. It's like hilariously awful. Like, this article is unbelievably bad for the 476 words that it contains. Like, it goes to the point of arguing about the shuffler and how they didn't want games of limited because like they're random or something. Oh my god, it's It's bad, is what it
The
is.
match wins basically boil down to who drew which cards first. Yeah, that's typically what happens in Magic.
You just described a game of Magic in an angry voice. Wow, this game of poker, it turns out, was who played the best and had the best hands. Well, no crap. This is just unbelievable.
As I understand it, the situation, what happened was there was a couple lines in one article about saying that Arena was going to be a part of Worlds. Something J.E. DePraz posted here. To my knowledge, there's been no official announcement about Worlds' formats, and people are making bold deductions from 2 lines in an article about the competitors that only say the event will be played on Arena for the first time, totally or partially. Is completely unclear. So there may very well be paper at Worlds. Honestly, this is one of those things that is so easily debunked, so quickly debunked. I wish Wizards had just said, you know, there may absolutely be paper events at Worlds. Even if they don't do them, you should at least say, like, it is not a done deal. It's not a made decision if it's not a made decision. Or if it is, just say it so we can get it out of here, because that article is not what we want to go on as our, you know, our actual factual basis to talk
There
about.
definitely should have been some course correction there, some community management putting the car back on the rails.
Right. I was going to say, do you think that these sites want, like, could they use me as, like, a Magic writer? Should I try to
they certainly
email?
Can't do any worse.
I was going to say, should I try to email, like, what's another one of these kind of sites, like a Kotaku or a .esports?
Absolutely.
Or a whatever,
and you should explain that you actually know this game and you won't embarrass the entire site by writing garbage like the shuffler is broken and limited games are who draws their cards first.
Wow. And the Gen Sacrifice deck wins by sacrificing.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy that way.
Give him that Gabe Nassif breakdown of explaining the deck to tell you why it wins.
So there is a contest that Wizards has made for Worlds. I'll post it here in the chat as well. Win a trip to Worlds 26, as it were. This is going to design, they're asking you to design a Magic-inspired Hawaiian shirt. And you could be headed to Honolulu for the World Championship in February. This is over Valentine's weekend of next year. But you get, they're going to, you know, they want you to do the design work, which is kind of work on spec, as some graphic designers will note. But the winners are going to get a round-trip airfare for 2 to the World Championship in Hawaii, car service pick up and drop off from the airport, 4 nights of hotel accommodations, 2 tickets for the after party, 2 signed playmats of all the competitors, dinner with casters and players, 15-minute meet and greet with a key member of Studio X. Who is Studio X?
I was just about to ask who that is. I mean, this isn't a bad deal. 2 uncut foil mythic sheets of Theros Beyond Death, 2 full foil sets of Theros Beyond Death, and all you have to do is like design a shirt. Like, I think it's cute. Like,
yeah, I mean, so this kind of stuff though, these kind of contests where they're like, hey, the winner gets a thing that we aren't gonna pay you to actually do the thing. This is I hate this kind of stuff.
Right. Because I haven't read the fine print yet. I'm just willing to bet that you're giving them all rights, 100% rights to any of this. And not only that, the people that they didn't pick, you're also giving them the rights to all of that work. So if they liked their number 2 entry, but the number 1 was whatever, but they like the number 2 enough, they're going to go make number 2, and there's not much you can do about it. And again, I hope that's not the case. Maybe they're getting paid, but I don't think so. This very much looks like a work on spec.
I mean, I don't know. Look at all you're getting though. Like, you're not getting nothing.
But
this is nothing.
But this is work. It's going to take it's going to take many hours to do a shirt that's going to be good enough to win you this type of contest, to get you in that type.
You're getting. Look at what you're getting though.
I know, and look at what number 2's getting, and what number 3's getting.
2 people, 2 Hawaii, the car service, the 2 sets, the after party, the mats, which you can easily sell. I mean, this is not nothing.
The
like,
2
I don't
foil
understand the pitchforks for this.
2 foil uncut sheets of Theros, 2 foil sets of Theros. I mean, you're getting a lot in prize money. So you're not, it's not.
Right. I don't understand where this idea is of like,
hold on,
done dirty somehow.
It's not that you're done dirty. It's that you are, it can be viewed as undervaluing their work. Like, for example, a couple of things. First of all, it's very much like the Eldraine thing, but the Eldraine thing was cooking. The Eldraine thing also had prizes for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and whatever. Had prizes down the chain versus just one person gets everything. And the second is, I would argue that the graphic design competition is more difficult and requires more expertise in the food. I'm not trying to say anything about cooks out there. I would also say it would take more hours to create the graphic design than it would to create the food.
I would also say that despite how attractive the prizes may appear, I can almost guarantee you that an official signed deal signing over design rights to Wizards of the Coast and or Hasbro would be more lucrative than the total value of the prizes for this particular thing. So my assumption, having not hashtag done the math yet, but my guess is that this is similar to, you know how Joseph Gordon-Levitt always tweets out like, hey, be the guy that gets to do the voiceover for this 30-second project, and it's like you get paid, but it's not as much as you should get paid by like an actual thing.
I don't feel the same outrage that you two do about it. So if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But I bet you there are plenty of people that are stoked as hell
for sure. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And like, you know, and Pharmacist Judge notes here, like he put the legalese of by entering this contest, you grant Wizards the perpetual, irrevocable, royalty-free, so on and so forth. So you're giving them everything. And essentially, Wizards, when you do this type of contest, I know it's from a good place. Like, I get why they brought it. I get they wanted to make some attention for the event, and they want to do something they can have, you know, can they have some fanfare around. But
also pay artists for their work.
And also, I think having prizes for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, perhaps, even if it's just some sets of Theros or some digital goodies or something, is better than just the winner take all. We know you all worked really hard on this, but only one person's getting the giant brass ring.
Aaron, I will fight you on this. This is a hill I will die on.
I don't care enough. I mean, I don't care enough to fight over it. That's the thing.
Aaron doesn't care to pay artists. We can move on.
Wow. God. Woo.
Wow.
I didn't go that far.
Suck it up, artists. Be happy with your beach time.
That's right. I hope you like that flight. It's paying your rent.
Yeah. Have fun with your dinner for two and car service.
It rubs a little wrong.
I will not. Because I've seen a ton of these, being someone who writes and being someone who has done stand-up in the past and being someone who does voiceover, I've seen these, you know, be the one we pick and you'll win the top prize, as opposed to pay you for your work, right? Like, this smells of a thing I've seen so often before. That's why I'm so passionate about it.
It's a thing. All right. Either way, there is a new tournament series that was announced today. Dreamhack is certainly a name I have heard over the years.
I still don't know what it is.
Well, just think of it as another SCG tour type thing. It's a independent.
Oh, is that the little tech conference?
Oh, geez.
I don't know about little. They just announced 400 grand.
Cascade Games usually has events there with like special playmats. Didn't Jerry T do a thing there once too?
I think so.
Yeah, except for that Dreamhack has over 250,000 followers. They run a bunch of international tour stops for other esports.
It's a little place, just a tiny. It's a bump in the road. It's
slightly bigger than Pastimes.
Right. Got to be careful driving by the strip mall. You're like, oh, there's Dreamhack. You're like, oh, I missed it again. Dang it. Well, look, Dreamhack announced today, fans of MTG Arena, we got a surprise for you. 4 tournament stops, live stream, $100,000 in prizes per stop, starting next year, February in Anaheim, May in Dallas, November in Atlanta, and another one in winter in November at some point. So that's a thing. We now have Dreamhack Magic the Gathering Arena events. Who gets to play in them? How do you qualify? How do they pick? No one knows yet, but at this point, it's a thing that exists, which is awesome.
Dreamhack Winter, by the way, is their home stomping grounds. It's in Stockholm.
Oh, I see.
And that's why they call it Dreamhack Winter. And it's a huge, I mean, it's a massive event, the Winter Stop, because it's in their home turf. So
I do see there was somewhat of a press release here. Dreamhack, the premier gaming lifestyle festival, and its partnership with Wizards of the Coast, which means Wizards is paying for some of this for sure. They're going to be doing these events. Let's see here. They're going to use an open format, meaning that ticket holders to each specific festival may register and participate.
Right.
The tournaments we played using a Swiss format.
I just tried clicking on the site and I got a security alert telling me it might not be safe to click on this.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's not a good sign.
I know it's not, but either way, this is apparently an open event for these tournaments, and that's awesome. That's really great. So good luck to those who are attending those events, and go win some money.
Yeah, the Dreamhack series had been dabbling in Magic the Gathering stuff for a couple of years, but it's good to see them hop on the Arena bandwagon. And this is a big tournament series. I mean, 6 figures up top, each stop. That's a lot.
Very nice. All right, so quick note here for you Pioneer players, as you know, and now the rest of us can, that there are no changes to the ban list this week. I think it's getting pretty apparent that we're going to just sync up to the normal BNR announcements pretty close here because.
And the format's good. You know, I'm certainly coming around to it. I keep finding new brews that I'm in love with, and so I think they're on the right track with this so far. I hope they
Pioneer's the new modern, modern's the new legacy, legacy's the new vintage.
Yep.
Everything that you thought about the other formats 5 years ago applies to the current formats now. You have the excitement and the intrigue of Pioneer, of the brand new world that you had with Modern for a little while, whereas suddenly Modern is like the stuffy old format.
Modern's the Wild West right now. Like, it is broken.
It's a little crazy, in fact. But you know, that's the times change with Magic. The winds shift so quickly, like crazily quickly. Like 3 or 4 months ago, we were talking about how Modern is like the stuff, and everybody loves Modern, and people show up for Modern, and it's gonna be a Modern GP, and everybody can't wait to go play one. And now it's like, okay, cute, Pioneer, all about the Pioneer. Everything's to be Pioneer. Can't wait to see Pioneer. Where's the Pioneer deck list? And yada 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 yada.
Well, I think it's you're looking at 2 formats at different moments in the life cycle. Like, when's the last time you can say that you were there for the birth of a format, and also too, you look at how information is exchanged nowadays too. You know, when Extended and Modern were coming up, I can't imagine it was the way that it is now with Twitch and Twitter and Reddit and all of that. And so this is a very unique time to be a Magic player.
Yeah, and like the winds of like Magic always change really quickly, because usually the better the set is, the more excited and hyped and involved the community happens to be. So when you get a Dominaria and everyone loses their minds, when you get a War of the Spark and everyone loses their minds, it's such a cool, special time. Like, I certainly over the years have essentially learned to like really appreciate, like, when things are good, just revel in it. Like, like enjoy it and love it, because I assure you it's going to go some crazy direction in the future, and you're going to like not really appreciate how super cool it was to have a set with 36 Planeswalkers. How amazing it was to go back to Dominaria after all those years. Like, there are moments in time we get to appreciate, and who knows what Theros will bring. But just like with Pioneer, it's like, well, that's the hot new stuff, and we're super excited about it, so let's go. New promos for the Judge program were revealed. We saw 3, I believe it was last week, including that incredible Demonic Tutor. We now have on the screen here Arena Rector. Arena Rector showed up in Battle Bond, as I recall. Yep. A white and 3 generic mana for a 1/2, a human cleric. That has, whenever Arena Rector dies, you may exile it. If you do, search your library for a Planeswalker card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library.
There was some excitement around this card because of the mask that the Arena Rector appears to be holding. This is one of the Theros death masks. Our friend Jay Anelli had done a short Twitter thread about this, and apparently it also appears to be the same mask that might belong to Elspeth. I think he said the 2 circles correspond to Godsend, and so this appears to be her mask, and that it's probably just an illusion, but it was a neat little Easter egg and tied in very nicely to you know, the new Theros set and the reveal of Elspeth coming back.
And that owl, like, I can't get over that owl set symbol, judge symbol thing, which is absolutely terrific, as many noted, which is the thing here. But let's bring up the second, which is not Worldly Tutor, it's Sylvan Tutor, which was a little odd. Sylvan Tutor, if you don't know, is 1 green for a rare sorcery that says search your library for a creature card and reveal it. Shuffle your library, then put the card on top of it.
Yeah. So it's not like Sylvan Tutor couldn't use a reprint. It's only got 1 paper printing, which was Portal. Right. So it definitely did need another printing. However, Worldly Tutor, I'm pretty sure, is the more wanted version because it's an instant. Despite the fact that it is less expensive, and there are 2 printed copies of it, both in uncommon, Worldly Tutor is just strictly better than Sylvan Tutor.
Isn't worth as much because it was printed in both Mirage and 6th edition.
And it's an uncommon, yeah.
And it's an uncommon. So versus Sylvan Tutor, which was always a rare from Portal, is a $53 card, and it looks really kind of odd.
I mean, sure. In terms of money value, it does make sense. And they probably have a plan for Worldly Tutor. They must have a plan for Worldly Tutor, unless they plan to do both. But yeah, it was a little... I was certainly surprised.
Porque no los. So, moving on here. Last week, we got to talk about the secret layers. As of right now, all the secret layer sales are finished. They're done. If you got your OMG kitties, congratulations. If you got your Enchanted Eldraine stuff, high five. Your Kaleidoscope killers or something or others.
That's right.
Your restless in pieces.
Absolutely. Your explosion sounds.
Your explosion sounds, kaboomy booms. So those are all out and about. Already hearing that a few secret layers might have been constructed incorrectly. Some people saying they didn't get the promos of the stained glass walkers, and some saying they got 2, and some saying that the Eldraine lands they got 2 planes instead of the 5th land that they were supposed to get. So
yikes!
And these types of things happen. Obviously, we've seen the commander deck we went over that's worth $100,000. Like, weird things happen when you print lots and lots of Magic cards. But overall, it appears to be very successful. So successful, in fact, that someone asked Mark Rosewater on Blogatog, how well have secret layers done? Will we see more soon? They say, he says, I can say we're happy with how it went, and yes, we're going to do more in 2020. It turns out if you sell singles, they sell.
Yeah.
It turns out if you can make new Magic cards, they sell.
Turns out if you print money, people will ask you for those dollars. I am not surprised that this is gonna keep going forward. I would have been surprised, honestly, if they hadn't.
True.
I anticipate that there will be more holiday releases, but I also expect them to move to that monthly model that we had been discussing earlier.
Well, again, it still feels so natural. I mean, it feels unnatural that they won't develop it into a consistent source of income versus like we're doing this weird shotgun thing again where we're doing like 7 more. Also, selling them over the weekend I think was kind of odd, and versus selling them on weekdays, for example. There's just something, and I can tell you from working at internet retailers, trying to sell stuff on Saturday and Sunday on the internet ain't as good as selling it Monday through Friday. It's just letting you know, people aren't at work like clicking around thinking about buying stuff on Saturdays and Sundays. So I'm guessing that their sales were lower for those products as a result. I don't know. All I know is if you plop down $200, you can essentially flip it right now for $300 on eBay. That's kind of the going rate. Otherwise, stick that thing in a closet. Let's talk in a few years and see what happens, because if this is the start of a trend, you got in at the very beginning of that trend, and that's usually the best time to get in.
Exactly
So good luck to those who bought those things. All right. Moving on here. We have another sweet promo. Wizards, another thing that I think you can notice over the years is Wizards has gotten super lax about these promos have to be available to everybody. Promos they make have to be somehow mass distributed in some way. You can go to a certain event or a certain type of event at an LGS or whatever. Nowadays, they're just making promo cards because they can, and they're super cool and awesome, and you're not getting them because they only give them to a few people, and I hope you can find them on eBay because, oh my God. There was a new one that was given to the arena staff, I believe it was. I need to go and check this.
That's correct.
Okay, fantastic. Let me get it up here on the screen for you guys. Lee Sharp, MTG_Lee, tweeted this out. Let's take a look at it. Every year, the hashtag WotC staff executive team recognizes a few teams within Wizards as heroes of the realm. Each team member gets a copy of a team design card with their name on it. The MTG Arena team was recognized in 2018, so presenting the legend of Arena. It is a legendary enchantment saga.
Cool.
It is Jeskai mana and 1 generic mana, so white, red, blue, and 1 generic mana. The Legend of Arena can be your commander, because why not? Its first and second sagas are create a 2/1 red human wizard creature token. Spells you cast this turn cost 1 generic mana less to cast for each wizard you control. And its final saga is search your library for a planeswalker card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. It enters with an additional loyalty counter on it for each wizard you control.
Pretty neat.
So this nice. Shout out to Noah Bradley.
Yeah. Absolutely. This joins Saul, Advocate, Eternal, Karis, and the Beholder, and Optimus Prime, Inspiring Leader as the promos that have been gifted to the various teams at Wizards this particular time around for the Heroes of the Realms. I'm interested to see if there are any more. That's only 4. I'm sure there are more teams than that at Wizards, but this one's really cool. And I want there to be more sagas anyway, so I'm excited.
There you go. And like this card is just busted, by the way. The card is like completely insane. And this
if both the wizards survive, then your sorceries cost 4 colorless mana less. Yeah, that's absurd.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And getting planeswalkers with extra loyalty on them, which is crazy good, and so on and so forth. So not meant to be a competitive card, is a super cool promo that you can maybe hunt down and play if you want to, but it is totally dope. All right. MTG Arena. This is the part where Aaron gets out the candy, because we're going to talk about Arena for a minute.
It's okay. In a second, we'll talk about Magic Online, and then I'll pass out.
Right, exactly. MTG Arena State of the Game, December 2019. They start with a performance check-in. They're saying, yo, we spent some time to improve the client, and that's good. It seems to be improving for what it's worth. I still think, like, when you look at all your decks, like you look at all the decks you have, it's still weird and kind of choppy and ugly, but the rest of the client seems to have improved quite a bit.
I had a couple weird glitches, a couple new ones. Like, I got frozen in the deck building screen once. That was kind of weird, but overall, it's been less glitchy.
So let me tell you about Wizards making a mistake. Wizards stepped in it, and for what it's worth, this is a legitimate business tactic. We talked about this last time with 2-for-1 wild cards for historic cards. That was wrong. That was clearly egregious, with the idea that if the business says, here's something absurd, and eventually, and you go, wow, that's absurd, that's ridiculous, we're not going to do that. And then they say, oh, you're right, let's move it back here to where it probably should have been to start with. And then they can get lauded because, you know, oh, they made the right thing and they listened to the community and blah, 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 blah. And so we're kind of back at it. And I don't like having to do this weird, like, we need to rally and tell Wizards this thing that they're clearly doing wrong. I kind of hate that, quite frankly, because I feel like we shouldn't have to. Let me explain. Brawl-A-Days was announced as a part of this announcement. Now, as of right now, as of this Wednesday, for example, as we're recording this, you can go play Brawl on Magic Arena right now. You can do that. That's the thing you can do. But then it shuts off on midnight West Coast time, and you can't play it anymore until the next Wednesday. And then they said, wait a minute, what if we said instead of 1 day a week, you can play it whenever you want, but you got to pay us like $10 or so to get in. So you can do that. We'll give you the privilege. Okay, cool. Here we go. So they talked about balancing the desire for more on-demand play while also ensuring that there are different and exciting experiences every time you play. Okay, sure. They're introducing a Brawl event with a one-time entry fee available from December 12th to January 16th for 10,000 gold, that's 10 booster packs worth, or 2,000 gems, that's like 12-ish to 14-ish dollars worth, and you'll get into the event and receive 1 copy of Risk the Redeemed if you win at least 1 match. By the way, that's 1 copy. You gave them $10+ so you could play your super casual format so they could give you 1 copy of this 1 promo. That's messed up. First of all, you literally couldn't give us a playset. Are you actually serious right now? That's absurd. And the fact that we have already paid for these cards, we've already crafted them. We've crafted them in packs. We've played them in drafts. We've built our constructed decks with them. And I've crafted some seriously random garbage that I only play in Brawl because it's fun. And you're now telling me you want me to pay, like, you know, conservatively $120 a year for the privilege of playing a standard Commander format on your digital client? Are you serious? Yeah. And look, it was an interesting point that was brought up by Seth Saffron Olive from MTG Goldfish, who mentioned, he said, you know, I'm trying to figure out the difference that it feels like this Brawl-A-Day thing feels bad, but Commander Fest and Command Zones feel totally fine, yet you're paying for a Commander experience in one versus, you know, and you're paying for Commander experience in the other. So what's the big difference there? And I think part of it is that, you know, everything is contextual when it comes to value and what you're getting for things and how you feel about things. When it comes to digital stuff, it's totally different than when you do stuff in real life. Yeah. And you make plans and you see people and we're social animals and looking at a screen is different than talking to people.
Those are completely different.
There are similar in some various ways in that, like, you know, apples and oranges are fruit, but, you know, apples and oranges. So, like, that's a thing. So, yes, there's talking about Commander, but it's a very different animal. Ultimately, having paid for these cards already, this is seen as just a game mode. This is a game mode that already exists. We didn't have to, like, you know, go into this event so that we could, like, pay for the feature. The feature already exists. They didn't have to redouble down to do anything. So do not, under any circumstances, pay Wizards for the privilege of playing Brawl. Please don't do it. Please just don't do it. I know I feel the pull because I love Brawl, but there is, let's see, what is it? arenabrawl.net, is that correct?
I still think the biggest critique of this came from Emma. Emma Handy made a tweet and she was like, I am not paying for the privilege of playing Brawl for the deck that, like, I made to help them make money. And I was like, damn.
arenabrawl.net has gotten so much traffic, they literally crashed the servers. They are running on donations, which you can help them out if you want to. arenabrawl.net is a service that does nothing but create direct challenges for you and another person so you can play Brawl whenever the hell you want, which is kind of exactly what we want. This website should not need to exist, and I'm actually kind of concerned that Wizards might try to shut it down because it's trying to circumvent their ability to make money, right? You go to this website instead of giving them, you know, 10,000 gems because you're not a crazy person and don't want to reward them for bad behavior. And so the idea that the Brawl the Days thing is happening and this is how you get your one copy of Risk the Redeemed, you can still redeem Risk with a gold wild card, a rare wild card, which means if you bought 6 packs for 6,000 gold, you can get the same Risk the Redeemed that you paid 10,000 gold for. None of this makes any sense. None of it. No. It's ridiculous. And it just makes me mad when they make clear misplays and or, like, you know, clear misplays that they want to see how much we'll kind of put up with. I
think it's kind of hilarious that arenabrawl.net took around 10 seconds to find an end around to figure out how to game this system. That's pretty good. That's good work out of the Magic Arena family.
Yeah, you save 4,000 gold, and you get everything in the packs, and you get a Risk to Redeem for 6,000 gold. Get out of here with this garbo. It's ridiculous. Amazing. Unbelievable. Speaking of ridiculous and unbelievable, let's talk about suspension.
You felt really strongly about this on Twitter.
This was weird. I get it. And now that I get it, it kind of makes me even more angry. So, historic suspension. This is what they decided today.
What a good phrase. That was really good.
Thanks. Because historic suspension, here's what they're going to do, okay? They made this format called historic. They tried for a minute to charge you 2-to-1 wild cards to actually play in it. They decided to release some cards directly into the format. Okay, sure. They said, you know what? It turns out that once upon a time, Field of the Dead, Veil of Summer, and Oko Thief of Crowns might be a problem. Could be a thing. Who knew, right? And so instead of banning them, because when they ban them, they give you wild cards equal to the number of cards that you owned that were banned. How about instead they say, we're not banning them, but you can't play with them. And not only can you not play with them, we ain't giving you any wild cards unless we decide to ban them later. So this is a way to ban a card, maybe just, you know, temporarily. I'm sure Oko is going to leave that list, by the way. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So they're going to remove them temporarily and may bring them back next March. All in the guise, as far as I can tell, the entire reason this whole setup exists is so Wizards doesn't have to give you copies of wild cards when they put things on this list. And that is absurd. You gotta, at some point, Wizards has to go like, guys, it's 0s and 1s here. What hill are you dying on to try to create entirely new nomenclature for an entirely new setup, a system that we've had literally for 25 years, and we just want to remake the wheel because, God forbid, we give you guys some wild cards for banning the cards that you were playing with to start with. Oh, you know, God forbid you want to take those cards and make them in the new decks. That would be crazy, right? Because you spent your time and your money and your effort making those other wild cards, and we just take them away, and now you don't get them.
To be fair, the 4 cards that were suspended were already banned in Standard on Magic Online. So I've already got my wild cards of those cards.
And that's terrific. Don't get me wrong. However, now that this is a thing, they can willy-nilly put stuff on this suspension list, not give you any value out of it, maybe kind of give you value later. Like, it's not right. It's not so much about the now. It's about, this is a new precedent that has been set for a format essentially from here on out. They're like, you know, we announced it and this is how we set it up and we explain it to you guys and that's that. Am I right? And it's like, do you have to be? Could you not just give the wild cards when you take the cards away because they cost you nothing other than your staff's time to set that up? Seriously? I just, it boggles me a little bit. It gets a little boggly, and we should have been in desperate Ravings at that point, but whatever. Whew. Oh my God. All right. Moving on. Missouri MTG, Jeremy, is a fine fellow who does a lot of really cool stuff, including selling very expensive grab bags, which include moxes and stuff, which is awesome. And he noted here on Twitter yesterday, he said, TLDR, I'm going to try and run $100,000 worth of legacy tournaments next year at a loss. And he's going to be selling more grab bags and stuff. And he's going to start shipping those after the 1,000 grab bags are complete and whatnot. So he's like, BT dubs, by the way, $100,000 in prizes for legacy events.
So Jeremy is no stranger to running events. By all accounts, his events are very well run. He usually sells them out. I've heard nothing bad about them. And so when we mentioned the reduction in legacy support, we said that you should support TOs that want to support legacy. And Jeremy is certainly one of them. And so he had kind of retired as much as you can retire or quit Magic. And he saw this demand for legacy and decided that he wanted to do something about that. So he is going to be dipping his toe back into organizing events, which is really, really exciting. Obviously, the loot bags are a really big hit. The thing that really struck me about this as well is that he mentioned that he's going to be having his employees, the people vending at his booths at GPs, be women, and that he wants to give women opportunities to get into vending, to get into sales, because we've had a lot of conversations about how women are treated in terms of competitive play, but not so much about what it's like to work behind the table. And people like Kendra have weighed in on it, the Maverick Girl, Devoted Druid has also weighed in on it and said that she's not had as many opportunities because she's a woman. In finance. And so I think it's really great that he's not only doing a good thing for the legacy community, but that he's also giving women more opportunities as well. And he's just a good, solid dude as well. And, you know, if you want to support TOs, this is one that you can support, and you know you'll have a good time doing it.
Yeah, everything I've heard about this guy has been 100% on the up and up. Super cool, super great guy who always, you know, fulfills his promises, stuff like that.
Yeah. Sounds great. Next time you're going to have to trumpet blast for a free ad buy, though.
That's right. It's true. Got to do that. And
Aaron's not having it. All right, we'll just keep.
And look, speaking of grab bags and sponsorships, we are sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com.
Oh boy!
And today we did bring back the Chaos Draft deck box, or the Chaos Draft boxes, which include 3 packs, pack of sleeves, spin down. It's for $15. It's dope. Why? Because it's my idea. That's why I like it. And I want to talk about it because, damn it, I brought it back because I love it.
They're good.
And
they sold out last time.
Yeah, they did. And Chaos Draft boxes did not exist at Walmart until I created them first. I'm not saying I did. I'm not saying I was that. I'm just saying we had them first, and that was sweet. So, all right, moving on here. The Theros trailer is coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
At the Game Awards. Apparently, the Game Awards are tomorrow night. That's a cool thing.
Who knew?
I guess. And oh man, I am not attempting to say they tagged
Ramin Djawadi.
Thank you. They tagged Ramin Djawadi, who is the composer for Game of Thrones and
Westworld.
And Westworld, thank you. To do the actual, you know, the score for it. So it should be really, really sweet. And I'm super
beautiful.
pumped. Yeah, it's gonna be super dope.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Hey, let's talk about something stupid. So there was a player on Magic Online, Mr. Tom White, at McWinsauce, which is a great username, by the way. He said, his tweet said, "Why didn't the top MTGO players share with me that I have to turn it off and turn it on again?" He includes a screenshot here to a support agent on Magic Online. And they said, the report agent email says here, "Thank you for your report. I've had a chance to review the game you mentioned and have determined that MTGO worked correctly." And then there's some sort of screenshot that they got rid of. In future Premier events, you'll want to adopt the practice of top MTGO players who relog the client every 2 rounds during big tournaments. This helps reduce the amount of memory the game takes up and should reduce any lag you are seeing. For these reasons, your request for reimbursement is being declined.
So this spawned dozens of memes already. I mean, this just happened this evening, but already people are coming up with a meme of what the top MTGO players do. I don't know anybody who does this. I've played in vintage challenges. I've done modern challenge. I've been in playoffs. I don't know anybody who is this a thing? Am I not a top one? We know I'm not a top player, but
oh goodness gracious! No, this is what this is absurd. This is as Christian Calcano noted. This is unacceptable, and this is patronizing. This is seriously like, oh, you don't know how Magic Online works. You know how you have to restart that thing,
but
right?
You're also implying that he's not a top MTGO player. You're saying that you're not. You don't know this because you're not in this. What?
I can't. It's so bad. This is awkward, and Wizards needs to swoop in here, community management style, be like, wow, that was crazy. We're sorry. That's messed up. We're going to give the guy the reimbursement. We're going to talk to our support team about not saying stuff like this because that's bad. Ugh.
It's so bad.
It's bad.
What happened to the ORCs?
Like, they laid most of them off.
No, they laid them all off, but now we still have, like...
They still have email support, which is essentially what this is.
Yeah, I think they're temps.
Well, I think they're farmed out from somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. Which is why we got this, because we don't have works.
There we go. Yeah, so all right. So we have already blown up over historic suspensions. That was actually planned for this one. It's fine. Hey, Ruben, you want to talk about a joke that didn't work well?
I mean...
Because, man, who wants to step in
look,
it?
the thread on Reddit is locked. That's a good sign.
I mean, we can... I guess.
I mean, from a comedian, who else would know?
I don't know what they did wrong.
What did they do? What did they 49% it? They didn't do it right.
Okay, no. All right, so... all right, so channelfireball.com, purveyor of fine Magic the Gathering cards and coverage, had a headline about Grand Prix Brisbane winner Kyle Gibson.
They had a tweet.
They had a tweet. Yeah. Well, it was also, wasn't it also on Facebook? I think they shared it. Shared it everywhere.
I believe it happened on Facebook, according to Reddit.
Oh my God! Okay. Well, I guess it happened on both because the picture here is from. Well, I guess the picture is from Facebook, isn't it? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Quote: Kyle Gibson and his Jeskai Fires deck have torn through the field like wildfire to become the Grand Prix Brisbane 2019 champion. The east coast of Australia has been smothered in brush fire smoke for the last month.
No!
Looks like the fires have finally reached Brisbane. For those of you who are unaware of what's been happening in Brisbane, Australia, and the fires that have...
And the air quality. I just read something yesterday, like the air quality was like 20 times like what's considered unhealthy.
Yeah.
Or like 10 times.
It's
bad.
Pretty terrible. And was
something
just
like
miles from the convention center.
Something like 250,000 acres have been burnt in New South Wales this year, causing tons of loss of life, and farms have burned, and et cetera, et cetera. And this is it's just a joke that was made in poor taste.
This was actually really interesting. I kind of kept up with the Reddit thread a little bit here, and there were some cultural differences as well, because I'm trying to use my words here. It's my understanding, and particularly based on the people that responded, that Australians tend to be more relaxed, or they don't take things, how can I word this? Maybe they're not as easily offended as Americans can be, but there was some discourse happening in the post from people presumably from Australia that were like, we didn't have a problem with it. Like, is this Americans doing this? And so I thought that was something that was really that needed to be said as to how the cultures approach humor.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully I didn't
so in any case, they took down the couple of jokes, and Channel Fireball tweeted an apology. On behalf of the CFP family, we want to apologize to anyone who's been affected by the wildfires, and to Kyle Gibson for detracting from his GP victory, which was it was a good apology, and just well done. And they said that they were going to make a donation to the fires donation, whatever, which is also good.
Good apology too.
It is, it's a good apology. And I don't think a lot of people, many of the Australian folks were like, we don't think that this is a problem. Like, this joke isn't a problem. The people who seem to be taking offense were taking offense on behalf of somebody else, which often happens in internet discourse. And, it was a joke made in poor taste. It probably shouldn't have been made, but also, it happened. We've all been there. We've all learned from it, and at this point,
we've seen quite a bit of it lately. A lot of these companies are all trying to be the next Wendy's. They're all trying to get that viral moment, and they're just sort of losing their minds in the process. And so I look forward to the day that we don't have this sort of arms race between Twitter accounts of like who can be edgier and just kind of focus more on being yourselves and not trying so hard.
Who can be more outraged about what, which is kind of ridiculous.
Actually, I don't think it's that. I think it's just companies trying to they're all trying to be funny, quite honestly, and I don't think you can really force that. I think the moments that have become Popeyes and Wendy's happened organically instead of people like I gotta do this. It just doesn't land.
Right. I would know they actually had a really terrific response here. Someone mentioned does everything have to be drama? Blah blah blah. Blah. Isn't that the worst thing ever? And are you going to take something down because somebody was offended or they might be offended by a thing? And they say we didn't take it down because people were offended. We took it down because it was offensive.
Hello.
And I thought that was a nice, wonderful, succinct. That nice. Was good. That was great. Done. So this isn't like I'm just sort of pouncing on Channel Fireball. I think if nothing else, they reacted perfectly here.
Oh,
they
absolutely.
Screwed up. They recognized it. They fixed it,
and they're giving money.
And they're doing something about it.
It wasn't even a bad flub.
Right.
In the grand scheme of Bob Dugouts, we've in the Of Fire and Dices.
Oh God!
You remember that episode?
Oh, I remember that one.
In the history of we're talking about Wendy's, we're talking about fast food. In the history of Double Downs, they did not double down, and they recovered well, as you would expect from ChannelFireball.com, a monster of the industry. Yeah. So well done, but also, sir, this is a Wendy's.
Oh my goodness. Real quickly here before we move on to the giveaways and the jokes and whatnot, I'm going to pass over the shuffler thing because the shuffler was silly. Mystery drafts are going very well at events, from best we can tell here. They're selling out at the Grand Prix, the Magic Fest and whatnot.
From what I understand, there's a little bit of a drama behind this, as people were entering the mystery drafts, intentionally drawing, and then immediately re-entering, which is why they were going through like hotcakes.
Because they want to eBay the product. They want to get the packs and put them on eBay. I know, it's kind of gross. So this is This is where you see like the ugly underbelly of MTG finance, where it's this weird, frenzy of trying to get as much money as possible while these things are super hot. Blah blah blah. We'll burn the queues and we don't care. And it's like, all right, man, whatever. Just burn it to the ground and not let anyone have fun with the mystery boosters.
I love that you're prefacing a story about wildfire jokes by saying "burn it to the ground."
Well, he didn't preface it. He followed it up. It was an afterburn.
Jesus Christ!
If you're,
and I didn't even. All I'm saying is, where there's smoke, there's fire. That's all.
Oh my God! All right.
See, now we have to apologize.
Yeah. See, now we're on the hook.
Or we have to pour our Diet Coke directly into the microphone.
Right, because it's to the left of the microphone. Some of us still use our microphones. We don't use our laptop microphones. So.
Wow.
Excuse me, I'm using my professional.
I know, I can see it.
The folks at home can't.
No, they can't, but it's professional.
Until I drug it into frame to show you all.
Tell you what. All right. Well, one note here for splash damage. Wizards, don't get cocky. All right?
Yeah. Right.
Legends of Runeterra is coming, and let me tell you, the buzz has been nothing but good, positive, exciting. Everyone wants in on it. Everybody's ready to go in on it. It has former Magic R&D members. Aaron will too. She won't care. But Ruben and I will be very enthralled by this game, I assure you, and I can't wait to play it myself.
A lot of big brains from Magic the Gathering history have been working on Legends of Runeterra at Riot Games. Riot is a huge name in gamings, and if they are entering the TCG or CCG market, they are going to come in like gangbusters and try to take it over. Last year, hashtag of the year was Dat Hearthstone money. This year, Magic Arena got Dat Hearthstone money, and now it's Dat Arena money. Next year, Legends of Runeterra is coming for that belt. And it's going to be a tough fight because that's a big name. They've got a lot of big folks working on it. They know what they're doing. This is not going to be Artifact 2.0. This is not going to be accidental, flash in the pan stuff. They've been working on Legends of Runeterra for the better part of a decade.
Jeez.
They've been working on the joke is that Riot has been working on like 5 other games, but they only have their one game. They're finally coming out with another game, and when they actually release it, it's gonna be a thing. So it's gonna be a problem for Magic Online or Magic Arena to try to stay the top dog.
Yep.
And they're already tussling with Hearthstone, which has been out forever and has had their own litany of problems, much less when another big dog comes into the fight.
Yeah, and of course this could be Artifact 2.0. We're not saying that it can't be, but we're saying that all of the current, sort of the current buzz and the current thinking, the current response, and the fact that people have been in the beta for a minute, is that it's very cool, it's very sweet, it's very exciting, and they like it a lot. And so maybe that happens. Maybe we get another artifact, but maybe we get an arena killer, and that's obviously not what Wizards or Hasbro wants. And then you start going, wait, we have a paper game, right, guys?
Right.
Paper? Anybody? Paper?
Would be an interesting third act in the story.
Let me tell you what. All right. So let's move on here to the finisher. This just in, Pot of Greed allows its caster to draw 2 cards. And now Bandai is selling a 1-to-1 scale Pot of Greed for like $100+, made popular in the TV show and trading card game Yu-Gi-Oh! And available on their shopping site sometime in April 2020. So I will start my joke by playing Pot of Greed, which allows me to draw 2 cards. But tell me, if you could have a life-size version of any Magic card, other than Pot of Greed, which allows me to draw 2 cards, what card would you pick, Ruben?
If I could have a card in 1-to-1 scale, it's no contest. Easy answer. All I want for Christmas, and it's exactly what 8-year-old Ruben wanted for Christmas. It's a 1-to-1 scale model of Grim Monolith. Not only because it's super expensive, but also now I live in LA, and that place would be free rent.
That place would be dope.
Yeah.
Got some parties up on the Grim Monolith. Oh,
That's
man.
right.
That'd be sweet. Aaron?
Well, no card from Throne of Eldraine made me more excited than Cauldron of Eternity. So if I could pick any one card to have in 1-to-1 scale, it would 100% have to be the best artifact from the last expansion, which is Food Token.
Mm-hmm. Delicious. Absolutely.
Yeah.
In real
It's an
life.
artifact. I don't remember that.
Well, look, if not Pot of Greed, which I don't know if you heard would allow me to draw 2 cards, I would like a 1-to-1 ratio of Wart, Boggart, Ante. Because sometimes I just need somebody to look after all these damn kids. I just need it. Just come on. I need a babysitter. You'll do. Let's go.
Evan locking himself in the bathroom.
Goodness gracious. And that ends another live episode of Magic Minds. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for having me, and come to Command Fest DC this weekend. It's going to be a crazy time.
Thank you, Ruben.
Honk! Leah Snugs.
The Hongliest Nuts is amazing.
Really
oh
good.
my goodness. We're going to move here to our final slide. Make sure you pick somebody, Ruben. We can
I'm looking through the single digit folks that we're streaming with right now.
All right. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffing.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-host, Aaron Campbell, and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching or listening, and hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at magicmicspodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at magicmicspodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes, or join us here next week. Same time, same place for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.